Marvel Phase 4 has been a mess. I'd argue that since the release of Endgame, Marvel movies haven't been the same. Of course, there was the exceptional box office success of Spider-Man Far From Home, a movie liked by the critics as well as the general audience, but I'm not here to talk about that. Today we're gonna talk about the worst of the worst that Marvel has been offering us lately. I mean, what the fuck happened? At least in the previous phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although the movies weren't always great, you kind of felt the passion of the people who were behind these projects. Like for example, movies like Ant-Man and the Wasp weren't the most impactful movies in the cinematic universe at the time. They never felt like simple cash grabs. Of course, one might argue that they still suffer from the same issue that most movies in the cinematic universe suffer from, which is being a setup for the next movie, for the next big event, for the next thing. At this point, for me, it's clear that any cinematic universe is gonna suffer from this problem, since it has to find a way to set up new characters, new events, as well as the new movie in the cinematic universe. Honestly, I still don't understand how we ended up with movies like The Eternals and Black Widow, movies we could have done without. I think it's a very agreed upon opinion that the Black Widow movie should have been made back when Black Widow as a character was still in the cinematic universe. I mean, why did they wait for her to die in order to have her own movie? It feels pointless from the point of view of storytelling. Plus, it doesn't help that the movie is not that good to begin with. Fans had been asking for this movie for the longest time, but the studio jumped on the opportunity way too late here. The Eternals was another bad movie from Marvel, and the box office numbers are there to prove it. It is the least successful Marvel movie since the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, come on. And then we have the TV shows. They just feel pointless. The only reason for them to be there, in my opinion at least, is for Disney Plus to have some content. And that's basically the number one problem with the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. They're not making movies, they're making content. In 2023 alone, Marvel has announced 4 movies. That's more than twice what they used to make during the early phases. And back then they weren't making any TV shows, at least not in-house. Marvel has chosen to sacrifice quality for quantity, and as a result, their movies have been unfocused and messy, and seem to only have been made to fill the gap until the next release. Thank you for watching, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, comment below what you think, and I'll see you next time.